This Daf Yerushalmi Kilayim. In the article Oz V'Hadar edition, we're actually on Nun Amud Beis. We finished the Mishnah, but I wanted to show you the picture in the article, which actually is a very nice picture here. Series of pictures, and the Mishnah said that when they're 4x4, then it asks 45 kafanim, and by 5x5, it also said Arba Chamesh Chamesh. It's 45. That's not. It seems that that's not precise. Um, um, uh, and therefore, yeah, these pictures here. When it's 4, it asks 45 gafanim. When it's the gaps are 5 between the gafanim, so only should answer. It says here 37 gafanim. This page is here over here. So if the article brings down that there's a shita here that you include 8 additional gefanim, which are in a small, I guess, additional circumference outside the inner circle, and then of course 37 plus 8 equals 45. Okay, don't know who he's quoting here with these pictures. Looks like this is Yontif. Okay, so that brings us now to the Gemara. And that is on in Vilna on Chavav on base by the Gemara. Yetzrei Rabusha Zara connected twice. This is it's where you put the foreign zera opposite the middle geffen. Rav Avin b'shem Shmuel said Bushatei Amtzoi Agula Yerek. That means that the middle geffen is bounded with a circle of Yerek around it. Hey Chavida, how do you do this? Shova Shurin mean Shova Shurin. You have 7 times 7, right? 7 times 7, 49. Same Arba Gvain Labazav Yosakam, remove 4 of the 4 corners of the vineyard. Ishtayusham Arbain Chamesh Gvanim, there are 45 Gvanim left. Hadar Udatina, Bahareu Mekadesh Arbain Chamesh Gvanim. As it says, Mekadesh 45 Gvanim. Amos Ma'asai. When is this? The Mizmatre Netus Arba. It's when they planted 4x4. O Chamesh Al Chamesh. Now, the art score brought down Tesis Yantiv, which includes a band of thickness of the circumference of the circle. The Gra, the Chazanish, and Reb Chaim say the truth is only 37 should be also, but they say 45 because of low plug. Now, I want to show you the picture now in the Reb Chaim, so we can get a clear perspective on this. And this is picture Kufiyud Aleph. And we should add an explanation. You take off the 4 and the 4 Zaviyos Akem because they are more than 60 numbers away from the problematic section. It's in the middle. Okay, picture here. The drawing, to be technical. Okay. So you have here in the middle, you have there's a little dotted line around the middle vine, and that's the Yerek. And then it should answer Tesainama, which is the square, right? But that square, we have to make a Kol Ama B'Yibru Ama Trechumsha Balachsona, right? It has an angle, and that angle is 16 and I gotta read what it says here. What is it? Oh, let's figure it out. 16 times 1.4 is 16 plus 1.4. With that, I have to use a calculator. It's not used to doing such complex math in our day and age. Where is the calculator here? 16 times 1.4 equals actually 22.4. So here Chaim is not going. It says no. Obviously, he's saying that, and that would be much more bigger than what's in here. So it's not 16 by 16. Rather, he says no. Let's look at it this way. You have four vines to aser, right? Until you get to the outer rim here. Four vines to aser until you get to the outer rim, because he says even though it's 16 across, but this one is outside the 16. It says Tezain below Makam Akarsin. It's Tezain not including the trunks. Okay, so the trunks are outside the 16. Uh, uh, and if you go down to the next level, so then uh, you get Tfemi Tezain, even without the Makam Akars, even without having to say that the trunks were outside, they're already quite distant. So you have here from where the circle of the vegetation is in the middle, around the middle vine, you're going to get the 16 amos. It's obviously right there up against the vine. You're going to get the 16 amos before you get to this one over here. And he goes around and he says, and then there are those like this one here, which are going to be 16 amos, even more than 16 amos, and even though even way before they get to the corsin, before they get to the trunk. So, according to this picture, you have you have 7 by 7, 49, right? And you're gonna have you lose 4. Okay, this actually is. I'm not sure how the key works because these look the same to me, but this is the key, these two, and the ones you're taking out are this one. That makes 46. This one, 48. This one makes it 47. This one makes it 46. And this one makes it 45. So those are the ones in the extreme corners which are beyond 16 amos. Now, I'm not sure exactly how to interpret this picture because I'm not sure why he's drawing it this way, but it seems clear. Well, I am sure he's doing it this way. So the box is the box which goes through the vines, which are within 16 amos. So that box is going to include the vines within 16 amos. Now this is also when you get over here, right? There's no vine there anymore beyond the area. Again, those are the key ones. So therefore, this beyond 16, this still going to be 16 amos. This still 16 amos, right? Down this way and this way. And these are within 16 amos. But this one's not within 16 amos. 4 corners. It's 16 and, he says, 16 and a fraction. I can't read. Maybe if the text itself it says a fraction. In a way which is legible. Uh, it doesn't say the fraction yet, but it says like this. That oh, okay. Well, let's go to the next part here. So here, it's interesting. Here it brings down that Tosis Yontif actually says also that the Gaza Banim Shem Nasti the Chlufim to a style down, not like the article's picture. Okay, there's no penumbra here. I'm not sure where the penumbra comes from the article. Maybe that penumbra is he's not the same is the that's low plug. You know what? Maybe I misunderstood. The article says that penumbra, the additional ones, are the ones which are slow plug. So they'll make 45 there, and that's the justification for having that penumbra third circle, that additional amount around it. Now, the next line, I think explains that number. So let's look at the next line. He says there, Hayin the two shesh al shesh. Oh no, sorry, skip. Hada Messiah Rabbi Zira. Rabbi Zira Amar Shmona Chutzu Makam Akarsi. 8 is besides the Makam Akarsi. The the you have to have the 8 amos, which define a keren, uh, and there's minimum in order to make a keren, the maximum in order to make a keren. That is if the middle is 8 amos without the trunks. So in terms of being marked dal amos between each geffen, also Rabbi Zir is going to require dal amos without the trunks, and therefore our Mishnah only 45 kfanim are usher. In the row which comes from the middle geffen or to all sides, the sweeping row, the sweeping line, the only asers only asers 3 gefanim, even though there are only 12 amos between them, because the mokam akorsi which is in Dal Amos becomes asers owed another geffen outside the 7 shuas. Because also because of the Desainama, that's if you included the Kores. So the Mocha Korsim is not included. No, I know what. I know what somebody's saying. Let's pause here a second. Okay, now I think I got it. Okay, so the reason why we can only get the it says here he has Down Amos, Down Amos, Down Amos, and then another Down Amos which gets us to the rim, right? So the this Down Amos has to be besides the Mokum HaKorsim. Because if it was the Mokum HaKorsim, then this would still this square would be slightly it would be slightly larger, and then already this angle can reach the outer geffen. But since it's milva, no, says a shmona chutzi makom korsin. No. If it was no, if it was included makom korsim, so then more of them would be excluded in the corners, because that would mean that it's a smaller square. So that smaller square would exclude other ones as well. But since it's a larger square, it's not almost plus the makom korsim. So therefore, he says the diagonal here is 16.8, 16 and 4/5. And that's 16.8. It only excludes the one in each corner. And that one excluded in each corner, that is what brings it down to to 45. Okay, I'm not sure exactly what the cheshbon is, how much thickness the question would take up, but uh, 16. I assume he's doing 12 by 12. I'm not sure. The Levi Yerushalmi helps out a lot here, and I'll tell you what my mistake is. And my mistake is that I was assuming that the Gemara remains with this idea of the Taisyotev, Reb Chaim, or Gra, that it's our slow plug. No, the Reb Chaim's picture is the picture with the Archokas of 4 Amos, right? So Archokas of 4 Amos, you get up to 45 very easily. And only the ones in the corner are excluded. Because they're more by the radius, they're more than 16 Amos from the middle. That's easy. But what about if it's 5 by 5? The next case in the Mishnah, how do we get up to 45? The only way we get up to 45 is if it's more than 7, rows are more than 7 by 7, and you don't include the Malcolm Carson, because then you'll get extra on each side. Okay, this is the picture over here. Is to get 45, even with intervals of 5 amos. It's a larger kerem, and the 16 amos extends. If you're still going to ask for 45, so that means that the 16 amos extend with further, because it's 16 amos plus the Markham Corsin. Or if it's 16 amos plus the Markham Corsin, so then you get in extra. Get in extra, right? Even though because it's going to be, this is 5. If this is 5, 5, 5, so then several of these should not be usher on the perimeter, because then they're going to be more than 16 amos. Well, I'm not going to make the question because it's going to get too complicated for me. But if you're going to say that the radius is the radius of maximum 16 and not more, so then you're going to lose a bunch of them. So it has to be a radius of more than, or even 16 and 0.8, which is the Rechaim is going to be before. Well, it seems when it goes to outside the circle. Never mind. With radius 16, you're going to lose more than radius 16. You're going to lose more than 4. More than 4 because they're planted 5 apart. So therefore, you have to have a larger radius. How do you get a larger radius? The only way you get a larger radius is if you say it's Chosim Malkum Carson. If you make a larger radius, then you'll be able to get 45 mamish, not out slow plug. If you by being able to extend the radius and therefore getting in as many when it's 5 by 5 as when they're planted 5 apart as when they're planted 4 apart. Okay, that brings us to the bottom of Nuno base, and although the sugya continues, it's enough for today. Now we go next. The sugya goes on to 6 by 6 and 7 by 7. Like I say, for tomorrow. I'm sorry that was very confusing today. It's my fault. It's really very simple. I just reiterating that. You can turn off the video this way. You understood it till now. Just gonna go over it quickly if you didn't understand it till now. That the 4 by if they're planted 4 by 4, so then in a kerem of 7 by 7, you're going to be able to get in 45. And you're going to have only the corners are going to be more than a radius 16 amas away from the middle, and the corners will not become also. So you have 49 minus 4 is 45. The question is then, but what happens if it says also by camera 5 up by 5 when it planted the gaps of 5 by 5? It's still going to be Makadesh 45. How do you get that? So you only get that if you go like Rabbi Zira. So like Rabbi Zira, it's not really 16 amos. It's 16 amos plus the Morkum Korsin. And that gives you a larger radius. And then even if you have a karam of of intervals of 5, the larger circle now encompasses 45 of them as well. That's the whole thing. So yeah.